The Halal Travel Podcast.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Halal Travel Podcast. Today we have Kak Farah from My Inspiring Journey and Ashraf's Cafe, which actually is a restaurant that provides a safe space for students with special needs to experience a real working environment. So welcome, thank you for taking your time out today to come here and record with us. We personally have been to Ashraf's Cafe. So maybe you can share a little bit more about yourself and also MIG as well as Ashraf's Cafe.
I'm a mother of 3 children. Dah tua lah actually.
You don't look.
my eldest Ashraf, he's 21. So and then I have the other 2, 20 and 15. So Ashraf is special. He has autism. So having him as one of my children, right, is a blessing actually in disguise, because he's the one who inspired myself and my husband to actually go beyond, like something that we have not thought before. But because of him, we actually established MIJ and also Ashraf Cafe. Yeah, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. How long ago was that?
That was about 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I was 40, yes. Then I quit my job and then had rested for about 1 year. But I think I'm also I think special, ADHD. Hyperactive. So I was like, alamak, tinggal rumah seorang-seorang. I mean, when the kids are all at work, alamak, I think I need to do something. So that's where I start to think about what can I do for my son. Because he ever expressed that I want to go to madrasah. Because he did go before, but it was not suitable for him because there's a mainstream setting, kan? So that actually keep on, playing my brain. So I said, I think I have to do something to actually enable him to go to madrasah. That's why MIJ started as a madrasah on a weekend program. Then slowly as Ashraf developed, MIJ progressed. So when MIJ progressed, it's all got through his development.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, what's next?
Right. So it actually, what's the age range of students who go to MIJ?
It's about from 3 years old all the way to the oldest we have is 29, but as far as 30 years old, all kind of condition. Autism is one of them. We have ADHD. We have global developmental delay, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. Yes, these are the ones that currently studying in our center.
And these students who, let's say, they join from the age of 3, is it like a full-time study for them? From 3 all the way to like 29 or 30?
Okay, it depends because we operate 7 days a week. So we have full-time program. We also have weekend program. So kalau full-time, as young as 3, they can go for just one intervention, or they can go for our preparatory program. It's like a kindergarten, but some of them are not able to go into a mainstream setting. So that's why when they come to our center, sorry, excited sangat. Come to our center, it's class ratio is very small, like 1 to 3 teacher. So we can actually concentrate on every single one punya learning style and also dorang punya needs lah. Yeah, so it's more focused in a way.
Okay. Yeah. And so I baru start a lot of questions because I guess because I think I'm just very, it's the first time I get to actually talk to someone who's from the field and trying to understand from the student's point of view. So if they go to MIJ or schools like MIJ Mondays to Fridays, is that the only kind of school that they go to, or do they also go to like normal secular school or other sort of schools out there on top of MIJ?
Okay, we have various of them. Now, usually when they are below 7, like 6 years old, they have to go to EPIC Center, which is early intervention program. Yeah, so most of them, they will go to EPIC either morning or afternoon, after which if the parents want something more, like more academic, for example, like numeracy, functional literacy, then they will actually enroll their children into our center. But there are also those who do not want to go to EPIC. So what they do is that they send to our school for 3 hours to study. After that, they actually put into the after school care. Okay, so we have that as well. And we also have those who come to our center for one-on-one intervention only. So it depends on the parents, how much they want to give to the child. Yeah, but inshallah the child will benefit in any ways. Yeah, as far as early intervention.
Okay. When you first started out, I mean, you said you quit your job. Did you come from a academic sort of background or?
You look like a teacher. I was going to answer that. Like a teacher. You look like a teacher.
Cikgu beda. Okay. No, I was managing the training. Actually, ada lah kena-mena. Training. I was managing the training department with the Asia Pac. But education has always been something that I'm passionate about. So when Ashraf come along and I know that he has autism, more than I want to know what is autism. So I do a lot of research. So the moment I knew he has autism, I was in that denial actually for 2 years. I couldn't accept because he was my first child and first grandchild in the family. So it was tough. Macam one hand, I know that something is not right with him. But on the other hand, it's like, mungkin dia masih kecil. You know, that kind of thing. He will outgrow it. But when he started to have meltdown, because when he started to have this sensory overload and so on, that's where I cannot handle. So I started to take courses, and then I went on to take my diploma, and alhamdulillah now I'm doing my masters, still doing.
Wow.
Masih tak nak dengan thesis tu insyaAllah lah. Yeah. Just to first intention just to manage him,
right?
But lama kelamaan, alhamdulillah lah. It's like I'm able to grow. I mean the school help him and help others like him.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Very inspiring.
Yeah, so just now you were mentioning about you had trouble managing Ashraf when he was overwhelmed with all the senses, right? Is there a particular thing that we as neurotypicals can do to manage that particular situation, especially if we don't know that person? I think most of the time when we are faced with that kind of situation where we are very uncomfortable, we'll just raise your hands and then walk away. Is there something that we as individuals can do?
Okay, good question. Good question. Because a lot of people, because Singapore is going to inclusivity, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, government has done a good job in terms of creating awareness, but somehow it also needs to be from the masses, right? Things like sometimes as a parent with special needs, when my son is having meltdown, right? I don't need people to stare.
Yep.
You get what I mean? There's something because those years awareness was not there yet, so it was tough for us. So when Ashraf having meltdown or dia macam buat PA, kadang dia tergolek-golek tau. There was one time we went to the mall. He wanted to buy sweets, but I refused to give because sweets will make them active, right? So and I knew that when they cry, that means it's a tool for me to get whatever I want, and I knew that, so I didn't give him. So I just left. That was at cashier. I buang apa-apa kat situ. I just tell the cashier I have to go. So I just left him. And a few times we did that, but after we did that, a few times tak layan, we don't entertain him. He knew that, that means crying is not a weapon. But during that incident, people are all looking at us. Some even comment, you tak kesian ke anak you? Kind of thing. Or can't you discipline your child? But they don't know that my child is actually having autism. Yeah. So if you don't stare or some even macam try, just walk away. And things like even if not meltdown, for example, if you see kalau you nampak macam people who are wheelchair user or Down syndrome, you can tell that they are actually special. But autism is invisible. You cannot tell. They look, most of them are good looking people. But you can't tell. Bila you interact with them, then you know. Kalau macam dia tak ada eye contact, ataupun you call them macam, hi, macam dia tengok lain kan, and you know that something is not right. So for me, just a smile, a nod, or even a wave. Or even for example, if you are in a lift and then you want the person you see this person, you know that they are special, just press the lift and for them to come in. Because I have neighbors who, like when I'm walking with Ashraf, when they see us, they either go into the lift, quickly press the close the door, or they just tell us to go in the lift first. So we have tak ramai, tapi memang ada. Yeah, so for them to be accepted is just a smile. Even when just say hello, it's okay. Yeah, you don't have to. And they are very sensitive people. They have strong vibes. They can actually tell whether you are in fear, whether you don't like them, because I think Allah is great. They give them this gift that they can actually sense a vibe. Yeah, so when you are in fear, they kind of know. So for our students kan, macam kalau teachers are in fear, they lagi that teacher. So kita have to be very calm with them. When you are calm, you are transferring that positive punya vibes to them. Very interesting lah when you actually know them and track them.
Flashback, do you remember the one time you were like, okay, this is it, I'm going to go to the doctor and like get my son diagnosed or something, like, you know, you just need that confirmation kan. What was that? Do you remember what instance was it?
Okay, when Ashraf went for mainstream punya kindergarten, the last straw was when the teacher, when he actually poke another student with a sharp pencil, and then that particular student punya parents want to do a police report. 6 years old. So that's where we came down, and that's where the teacher told us that actually Ashraf is special in the sense that he didn't tell us that exactly what's the condition. I think it's quite sensitive, right? For some parents to accept. But for me, I'm open. So when he told me that, okay, dia dah start macam lari, masuk bawah meja. Tapi kalau buat worksheets, he can do everything. That means he's like running around, but his auditory is listening though. Yeah, so he's able to do that. But he's not socializing. He's not sitting down and listening. He prefers to be on his own. Yeah, and then that's when they poke the student, because the other student I think provoke him lah. And then they tarik the teacher punya hijab and so on. Then when they told us that maybe you would like to get sick from ni lah, that's where my husband said, we are open to it lah. So we said, I think it's better now than later, right? So we actually went to see the psychologists to get assessment.
So with autism, you can only track it after they are born.
Yes. As far as I know, yes. Because you need to see the different traits. Macam no eye contact, and then when you call them, they are not responding. But when you call them, they're not responding. It can also be hearing impact. So you need to check the hearing also. That's the first thing they would do lah. Or when they start to have meltdown and macam ataupun cover their ears when they hear like blender, vacuum. These are some of the traits. Yeah, but saying that, I don't want to scare some parents yang dengar ni kan. Yeah, don't think that macam sikit-sikit, alamak anak aku autism. Tak But if you see really macam, okay, paling ketara is when he play toys, macam cars, he actually cue the car. Some boys kan dia macam main kan, dia tak dia tu itu pun can be lah. So some of them can be co-mobility, macam OCD dengan autism, ADHD dengan autism. Tu lagi case yang more severe lah.
That's a very good tip to look out for.
There's a lot in Google now. Traits of autism banyak.
But I guess it's one of the, I think what Hazja was saying also, it's not something that you can detect during pregnancy.
Yeah, not like Down syndrome. You can,
right? Yeah.
But autism usually about 18 months. You can start to track that.
I had a autistic friend before in primary school, and we grew up together because we went from primary school to secondary school. But I don't have very much interaction with this person. So I was talking to my friend, like we were just talking about him, like how he behaves weirdly in class, you know. And then my friend was telling me, he was saying like, do not give him special treatment because there is a need for him to adapt to the environment, the normal society, right? And I was telling him like, how can you possibly do that? Or like, how can he possibly adapt in that way? You know, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts, what he did was the right thing for him. He's an individual. Because for him, I think he's more of the very low needs. He's aware of what's happening around him, you see. That's why, because for every parent, even for every educator, the end goal for every child with special needs, right, is to be able to integrate it into society, to socialize with the mass, right? So if he feels that way, I think as friend, you should encourage that. Yeah, because they also have feelings. They want to be friends. They want to be accepted. They want to get employed and sustain, remain in the employment, see? So if he wants that, yes, do it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. And I think back to Ashraf's Cafe, like what were some of the early challenges that you faced establishing, not just a cafe, but also MIG as well, seeing how it was quite a journey for you?
Yeah, it's quite a journey. Okay. But of course, every challenge is a lesson to learn. Okay, we take it positively. Okay, but when we first established Ashraf Cafe, there's a few things because I was never in F&B setting. I just terjun botol loh to take the risk. Okay, but to me it's important because kebetulan I think coincidentally when we took up the third floor, which is a school, in 2010, 2011, no, so 2017, the cafe is already there. It was black and ink, something like that.
Yes.
So when we came, it was empty. So I told my husband, who knows? And one day we can get, we want, we have this, masin tu lah. And true enough, a year later, because the final students in the RED program called Work Readiness program is going to graduate.
Okay.
So as a parent, and I'm sure other parents are thinking, so what's next after school? Right? So we have to think about something. That's where we open up the cafe. But it was a challenge because not being the F&B industry, I have to learn a lot of things. First and foremost, we get people come and go lah. And myself, I have to be in the cafe doing all the cooking and the serving and so on. And we also have to make the environment safe and also suitable for our employees, special needs, to work in the environment. So it has to be very structured. Having said that, like things macam visual support is needed for them because they need to see like, what I'm supposed to do today. If I'm given a task, what are the tasks? What are the steps? That's one. Tu pun dah, kalau macam normal cafe, you don't have to do that. Just demo and so on. But for them, they have to have visual supports plus demo, plus them to do first and then they can actually. So that's already take a lot of time. Kan? And then the next thing is that our intention is always to create awareness, not on to expose our we call it SPEC employees, SPEC for special education employees, and also for the masses to come to our cafe and to interact, to see, to mingle. How are these people with special needs? And to change the mindset that actually these people with guidance, they can work. Yeah, that's the intention. So, but because the intention is not easy, we have diners like coming and not understanding though. Macam for example, we have one particular special needs punya employees. He was serving this particular family, so he gave the food, but the food was not the right order. But the one that taking the order is not him. It's actually the other person. So, but because he's the one who served, he got scolded from the diner.
Oh, no.
They said, this is wrong order. I mean, you can cakap baik-baik, I understand, but you don't have to headache, like shout. And then he said, macam ni saya nak kerja. Wow. I was there.
Oh my God.
Kesian lah. So, and this particular SPEC employee, he has autism and he is loud. When he's in anger or not happy, he will actually talk it out. Macam, this is not my fault. Why is scolding me? He start to nangis. And he's 24 tau. Imagine 24-year-old man nangis tau. So, and again, we have to counsel him. You see, but as we have to tell him that, it's okay. But after he has come down, we have to tell him, what was wrong. Because we also have to bear in mind that even though they're special, that doesn't mean that you can get away with everything.
True.
We have to actually tell them exactly what happened and what you can have done right. So these are all little things that a challenge that we have to go through, even until today.
It's a lot of hands-on work.
It's a lot. No joke. If you have a lot of patience and perseverance.
Would you say like special needs employees like him, if you provide enough training, guidance, they will be able to adjust their behavior to what we define as normal?
So far, okay, it also depends on individual and profiling lah. And also family support is very important because I always feel that we can do a lot at the cafe, but if there's no family support, it can actually affect their emotional stability when they come to work as well. Yeah, that's one. But if through guidance, through approach, through the right guidance and a safe environment, yes, they can continue to work. But for open employment, that's kind of tough. Because a lot of employers, to be able to hire these people, right, they need to come up with a proper structure. They have to educate first, dorang punya employees who like us, typical, before they can even hire. because I've been to like some supermarkets yang hire people with special needs, right? I came across like the particular guy. I knew he has autism. Then he was talking to a colleague who is neurotypical, asking something, but because the cashier, then this lady neglected him totally. And then I think she got so mad. Can you still ask me question not in front of me as a customer? So I thought that is something that's not right. Yeah, so I think you have to have from top down. First, the employee have to believe in the entire
the integration of
yes,
that
correct.
sort of,
yeah, and then slowly bottoms up. Yeah,
still a lot more education.
in Singapore a lot actually.
Are there any like certain cases where those with special needs actually get reintegrated and find full employment in the normal world?
Yes, of course there are, and most of them are very low needs, meaning they are very aware. They are maybe they be able to at least go to ITE. And get certification and so on. Yes, I do. There is.
So they're aware and they're able to kind of control it to a certain extent, would you say?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And I think getting employment for these people, right? People who have low needs is not that issue. But to be able to sustain or maintain in their employment, right? That is a challenge. Yeah, because it has to come not only from themselves, but also from the people around them, the surrounding, the environment. Yeah.
That's interesting. I guess also whether in whatever organization that they're working in, whether they actually be able to move up the ladder as far along as, a typical person would be able to. And that would kind of convert back to like what sort of like kind of you'll be able to kind of sustain your own living in Singapore, living on your own, having a family, that sort of issues, right?
Yes.
So you're right. Like I'm thinking about things now.
But you see, there are some actors, actresses who are also has autism, who also have ADHD. I think Bill Gates, right? Anak Bill Gates, one of them is actually has autism. He stays on his own.
Right.
And he works on his own as a freelancer, but he's very smart. So you can see there are celebrities or even people who have succeed, right? They have traits of autism. So you can actually.
Okay, just putting it out there, just thinking out loud, maybe it will work, maybe it will not work. But given that now we are like in a digital world and everybody is now very accustomed to working remotely, especially with some kids with special needs, remote work might be a solution. I mean, it's partly inspired by Bill Gates' punya son.
Remote work, I say for the parents or for the students?
For the
child. For the child, because I think even the job that they to take on, it's also important. Any jobs that got to do with people, PR, that one memang susah lah.
I guess more technical skills, right?
Because some of them are very technology driven.
Right.
They can relate to. There are people who actually hack the system and they have traits of autism. Their mind works in a different way. They are in a different world. So that and the spectrum is wide,
right?
From no needs to high needs.
Yeah, it just kind of reminded me of like we have this in my neighborhood. There's always this one kid who has special needs. I believe he has Down syndrome, and we will always see him walk from his school back home on his own, and he will always play with this one piece of paper. It could be a brochure, it could be a map, and he will be like, oh, ha, 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 whoa, like making sounds. And it's so cute because it makes my life or like my day like very much more livelier. And so sometimes from my house, I look down and I see him walking past, and there's this one guy, a stranger, just like hi-fi, and he also just hi-fi. It's so cute.
Like he's like so happy and so positive all the time.
Yeah, with his piece of brochure.
Because they don't care about surrounding, so they just do whatever they please.
Right.
But you brought up a good one, Nurul. I was about to say, just now you asked me how do you treat these people. The hi-fi is one thing, because like Down syndrome is different from autism. They love meeting people. They are very affectionate people. They love to hug, they love to kiss. Very different from autism. So things like this, like when you see a Down syndrome or any special child, especially autism, muka dia very normal kan, macam talk out loud ataupun macam ketawa-tawa sendiri, they tend to speak on their own, macam berbual sendiri or smile. Don't stare, because that's how they express themselves. Yeah, and sometimes when they sometimes when they like step on your feet or macam, sapa you, it's not because they want to disturb you. It's a way for them to communicate. Because most of them sometimes cannot, they're non-verbal. So how they communicate is through gesture. Yeah, so jangan macam, apa ni budak ni kan? Yeah, or if you are not comfortable, just say hands to yourself. Because these are very common phrases. In school, parents will do that. Hands to yourself, they will know, okay, hands to myself. Yeah. Or if you want them to be too close to you, one arm length. So they know this one arm length, meaning you have to be away from when you speak to me.
And it's not rude, it's just something that they have been trained to do.
Yeah, at least you tell them something rather than you stare or you just shun them away. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're in Singapore, you'll know that food is our number one priority. Food in Singaporeans are practically inseparable. It's literally the best ingredient for any occasion, any stress you got going on. Food solves everything. Because, for example, if it's your birthday, let's go eat. You got a promotion, you deserve a treat, sayang. You feel like pulling your hair out? Come on, I'll bring you for supper. Yeah, you get what I mean? It's literally perfect for everything. And of course, we want to tell you everything about it. Like places you didn't know were halal, or 12 new halal places you need to try this week, for example. We are determined to make your tummy bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger than last year or any time. So follow us on the blog to get all the insights at www.halaltrip.com. And of course, we are also on every social media platform at Halal Trip.
So how would like a day of a special needs employee look like at Ashraf's Cafe?
Okay, they will be given tasks. So when they come, they'll be going through what are their schedule for the day. So for example, if you're doing baking, so what step 1, because they have to be preempted. If not, they'll be like anxiety. Apa nak buat ni sekarang kan? Yeah. So after which, that's where they will be going through their work lah. But if it's a new task, then usually the job coaches will demo first. And then they try first. And then if they are capable of doing, then we'll continue to do the job. So that is very straightforward. They'll come about 3 to 4 hours, then do their job, sign in, sign out. And because that's how they will be paid by hourly, then they will just finish work, then we'll thank them, then they'll say, okay, bye-bye, what Miss Dandra, Miss Fatah, and then they will go off. Yeah.
So they get a sense of really kind of being independent and working for their own, earning their own keep.
Correct.
I also read somewhere that I think initially when you started Ashraf's Cafe, you had a different menu, but you had to change the menu to
suit them. Yeah, correct. Because we came out with a lot of these heavy dishes lah. So and then it's tough for them, right? And so what they do is when they do at the cafe, so we go to sandwiches. Sandwich is very step by step, right? Yeah, and then slowly we go into easier dishes. But now because they are being trained, for example, they can prepare food, like cutting the cucumbers, tomatoes, and they can pack the food. So it's easier now. They're 2 years plus, kan? So most of them are quite familiar with the task. Yeah. Please drop by again if you want.
We actually wanted to, right? Again. After you guys rebranded and we will be wanting to drop by. So I think
ada van semua. There's a van outside with the whole Ashraf Cafe logo.
And there's an event space, is it?
Okay, used to, but because we change it, so that one is now where they prepare the food. So we have the dining part, and then beside is where they prepare the food. They masak, they prepare everything lah. Yeah, they bake and so on and so forth. Yeah,
so everything is produced in the restaurant, not outsourced from.
It depends. Okay. Kalau semua pingsan lah, tak boleh lah. In terms of time pun kan, because sometimes they can be quite slow paced. So we have to understand that. Right. So certain things we have to get from vendor, but we try to do everything on our own. Yeah, and in fact, from the cafe, right, we also have another brand called Inspo. So Inspo also buy the cafe because some of them cannot do F&B. Okay. So but they can actually produce goods. So we do like crayon making, crayon make of macam animals punya theme or Lego theme, that kind of thing. Some of them macam now Ramadan very busy lah. Kita buat kurma.
Wow.
Kurma dengan our own packaging. So again, our dear Mr. Nasrul do the packaging. It's nice. So we didn't expect that we so macam demand. So we have like boxes and boxes, so the boxes we get from another vendor because it's very colourful. Macam I think now is the in thing like colourful with the shapes and so on. So they actually, some of them will learn to pack the box. Some of them will put the kurma dalam plastic, and then some of them will pack and then put stickers. So there's a station. If you go to level 4, in fact we have expanded to level 4 now.
Wow.
Just take out the whole building.
Amin. So that's where the classes for adult program and where the workers are. The special needs workers are. So they do packing, crayon making, 3D printing, macam-macam lah, urban 3D farming, apa lagi baking. Okay, that is a new thing. Urban farming, because now it's into farming kan.
Agriculture.
So and then we actually because kita buat kurma kan, so we were thinking, try lah kita tanam ajwa punya seed, and that actually it grew. So now it's actually it's just like one thin leaf, it grows this way, growing upwards.
Oh wow.
So actually boleh kita tanam ajwa kat Singapore.
Lepas ni kita nak tempah ladang.
Itulah kan, tak tahu mana nak pergi.
Wow.
Yeah.
So by next Ramadan nanti Ashraf's Cafe ada ajwa kita
Tak tahu belakang kan, kita tanya Pergas nanti macam mana.
Boleh tepi sikit Pergas. Interesting.
Interesting experiment lah.
Okay.
How about the employees there? Macam like the normal typical, you also have normal typical people kan? So how does your training work? Like, how do you train them?
Okay, we don't have formal training. Okay, but when they come on board, we will tell them who are they working with. So we'll tell them the profiling of the special needs employees yang dekat cafe lah. So with the 3 of them and special needs employees, they are all very low needs though. They can function like us. It's just that they don't speak much. We have like I just mentioned names. If you go to our cafe, there's Ain. Ain is our student, graduated, and she is Masya Allah lah.
Her name is Nurul Ain.
It's my other half.
Masya Allah. Yeah, Ain. Dia bukan autism, dia ada delay. She loves working with Ashraf Cafe. So she can cook macam nasi goreng, sedap nasi goreng. And then she's very diligent and very disciplined. Macam she comes to work at half an hour before she the timing start. So she's always enthusiastic to come to work. And we have Nabil. Nabil is not from MIJ, from another spec school. That one point is a very unique case. The parents actually call us up to see the child whether we can employ. So the parents came to be interviewed, but I'm not the child of the parents. So the parents brought all the certificates, and dia pun Masya Allah, she's a very nice guy, very listen to instruction, adab dia Masya Allah. And there's Nabi. Another one we have is Namira, also from another school. Yeah, so we take turns. Sometimes we will rotate from them, so at least they're exposed to every single skill that we have exposed. Yeah. So they are not. So we tell the different way. Then and of course when we hire the neurotypical like us, I will tell them, have you been exposed? Are you patient enough?
The teachers is it?
Not just the neurotypical punya yang kerja dengan dorang lah. But so far yang kita ada, alhamdulillah, they have been with us for quite a while since day one, and they're very very understanding. So it's a good team lah.
It's interesting because I think if you were hiring like teachers for like MIJ, I think you would it's natural to expect some sort of background from them in special needs, I think, or at least some experience. But I think when you're looking at FMB, maybe it's a slightly different situation. Maybe it might be harder to source for workers who are a bit more understanding and know how to adapt.
But actually for cafe, which is right, but even for schools, I think across the spec industry, it's very difficult now to get teachers who wants to teach special needs. So even for us, MIJ, I'll be very honest, not every one of them come on board with special needs punya background.
I see.
But for so long as we can see that they have the passion, they have the compassion, the empathy, and most important, the resilience.
Right.
Because I don't want them to be kena pukul sikit MC, pukul sikit. We have people who come morning, petang terus hilang MIE. Bila mana dia ni? Dah jalan. So it's not easy. So when people ask me, Farah, when you want, susah jaga anak semua. Actually no, jaga anak semua senang. Meltdown senang. Jaga orang besar yang tu macam susah.
Hati lebih lembut dah.
Yeah. So it's quite a challenge.
Yeah, I think not anyone and everyone can do it.
Yeah.
You need a lot of patience.
It's difficult to judge also.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
You
Yeah.
have a
They
lot
can
of heart
say,
in you.
I have passion. But then, alamak, dia start kerja. It's only when you see them on ground, on job, then you can tell. Interview-wise, you cannot tell.
True.
True. Yeah.
What I mean, do you think, like, I think we talked about this a bit, like, I think especially in Singapore, like you said, there's still a lot more education that needs to be done. What do you think are some of the ways that the public can, or the maybe government can educate the public on how to better be more help the special needs employees and children and adults integrate better into the society.
I think earlier I mentioned government has done quite a bit to create awareness about this. In fact, recently also, macam for example, we are now working with LTA, Land Transport Authority, because they want to know how the commuters like us can make the journey for people especially with ease. Macam for example, if they have meltdown, what you're supposed to do. Then when you see them talking alone in the bus, what you're supposed to do. Yeah, so they are doing more in that.
Yeah.
So I believe that it has to start from the home. Yeah, because as parents, right? But it doesn't mean macam like for example, if my child who's typical go to a mainstream setting, where ada budak special kan, doesn't mean that my child will regress. You get me? But you need to see the positive part, the values that you can instill. Because right now I see the era right now, right? There's a lot of people with high IQ, smart, fantastic, in terms of EQ, that is lacking because it's all about me. It's all about me. So like everything I need it's a competitive world. You get me not? So it's about me. But if you as parents, teach these values to be empathized, to be compassionate, inshallah lah, actually your child will grow to have EQ and IQ. That's what we want. That is what is going to be hopefully not going to be missed lah. But that's what is missing right now. You see, so it has to start from the family, the parents themselves, to educate the children. It's okay to have friends who are special because you learn something, you help, and in a way the child is also able to be integrated into society because they are able to mix with other people. Because sometimes when you meet with your own, you cope up with your own, they won't learn much, you see. But if they are able to mix with people like us, we lain dorang apa, they can actually instill more things ataupun macam dia belajar more, that the brain will be like like growing more, and they can do like socializing and so on and so forth. So start from the family.
I think what's important also, like if you see a meltdown, if you see a meltdown in the mall, like you cannot tell your child like don't be like that. It really happens, and I feel bad for that. So like kadang-kadang macam I'm eating and then like there'll be not even like an autistic child like just having a whole tantrum, like my grandparents would just look and like look at it. Macam very old people style lah. Tapi you just have to keep telling them like do not stare. It's also very difficult for the parents,
Yeah, because we tend to judge. So when a child having a meltdown, to us that never been exposed, we think that the child nakal ataupun
parents are not doing their job.
Correct. But actually if you read more, you're exposed, you know that it could be something else. Because you tengok meltdown, budak biasa kalau mengamuk dengan budak biasa autism kalau mengamuk lain tau. You can tell. Budak autism kalau mengamuk, the eyes is different, dorang punya lain, because the more they go to unfamiliar face environment and it's noisy, right? It can actually triggers the sensory.
So what would you do to kind of calm them down when they're having that sort of tantrums, special needs?
Usually for me, in the past, I would actually bring Ashraf to a quieter place. Sometimes macam exit door, kan tak ada orang kan, tangga staircase, that's where I go, and we teach him few things. Okay, for Ashraf, he would terapkan banyak the faith part, the agama part.
Right.
So when he is about to have meltdown or anxiety, we'll tell him to zikir. So he grew up with that. Yeah. So it becomes something that is very used to him. So he has a counter. Until today, he has a counter, zikir counter on his finger. So when I see him like start to counter, I mean, I know he's having anxiety. So I will let him to be on his own. Then I'll tell him, when you're ready, come back. So you can always put a child to a place where it's quieter, or even the lighting is dimmer. Yeah, that will then you don't have to shout. So I see some parents yang macam younger parents tak tahu kan, they will stop it, quiet, ataupun tarik budak tu. You don't have to do that, because when they have a meltdown, your whole sensory shut down. No matter how much you try to them to stop, they will not do it. So just carry them, go into a quieter place, just peluk dorang. Kalau dia kawan dorang kecil, just peluk dorang, just hold them tight. That's all they need. You don't have to keep on diam lah. Alamak, my heart pain when I see that.
I feel like it just like tenses up the situation even more.
Yes.
As a bystander, I'm like, what do I do?
Kesian kan.
But yeah. So I have a question in my head just now and it just slipped my mind.
So did I actually.
Just terlupa lah. Tak apalah, kita continue je lah. Ada question lagi?
My question is the future plans.
Belum.
So tanya, maybe we can go into like how is your day like? I mean, we talked about how is the day like for a special needs employee. How is your day like? I mean, MIJ, Ashraf's Cafe,
Businesswoman.
I never call my
a student taking masters. Amazing.
I never call myself businesswoman. It's quite ordinary as a mother. Okay, my time is with the family memang lah very, very limited. Okay, I go out early in the morning, I come back in the evening. But I make sure that I spend at least half an hour with my kids. Even kalau dah tidur pun, I'll go to their bedroom, kiss them, just whisper to them that I'm back, have a sleep tight. I will make sure I do that. Or even for dinner, it's a compulsory to have dinner together. Unless I cannot, I'll tell them or text. We have a chat group, my family chat group. I cannot make it for dinner. You go ahead first. Yeah, so that rapport is a must for me to build. But at MIJ, meetings after meetings, department meeting, team meeting, meeting, and go through lesson plan. There's a must because I'm very into education, so I make sure that the lesson plan goes as planned, and it's something that will benefit the students. Because there's no point having a lesson plan and it doesn't benefit, right? Then I'll make sure that the curriculum is followed through. Then sometimes when I see, sometimes kalau tengok ujian tu budak pergi and if the shout never end by within 10 minutes, I have to go and rescue. So I have to go and then I will see what's happening, and then if needed to, I'll pull the child to the intervention room, and that's where I will calm the child down. Because sometimes it's disruptive sometimes.
Tell us what about the intervention room.
Intervention room. It's simple setup. There is like a small bed, and then there is a few tools that we have like infinity, that kind of thing, macam wooden infinity, where they can actually put marbles and gerakkan marbles too with it, because the 8 is a very special thing lah. It's a brain thing. Yeah, so a lot of students with special needs, especially if they have dyslexia or even GDD, right? They are not able to cross that midline. We have a midline. They cross that particular bridge in between the brain. Okay. So when that's happening, either they are very left-centric or right-centric. So majority of our autism students, they are very left-brainer because that's why they're very structured. They cannot think big. They're a very detailed person, very meticulous. And people who are macam ADHD, usually the front lobe, it's missing. That's why they do things all half past 6. Yeah, you can tell. So the brain is very interesting. I like to study about the brain. Yeah, so there's intervention room. So we pull them there and then calm them down, and they're ready, then go back to class. Yeah, then sometimes you have outside meetings. Yeah, a lot of things lah. And then I have to go to cafe. Kalau tak rumah masak, chef tak ada, I have to rumah masak. But actually it's a distress moment for me. Because I can kepo, because like something I said, people work kan, boring. So I will go down and just help kepo lah. Just sekarang Ramadan kan buat kuih kan. Sometimes Saturday I will come down, I will tolong lah buat kuih. Kan benda ni I tak buat kat rumah kan, cara because I ada helper and I don't have the time. So kat sini semua I cuci mangkuk kadang. So it's therapeutic for me.
Okay, I remember remember my question now.
Okay, go.
So when was the first time? Oh, just wondering, like, do you let Ashraf go out and about alone? Like, you know, after school, takkan nak duduk kat cafe je kan?
I wish that I could do that, but because Ashraf not only has autism, though, he has this rare disease, genetic disease called tuberous sclerosis. They call it TBC, whereby it's a non-cancerous tumor. So when he was born, he has 7 white patches on the body. We thought that it was a birthmark. But when 18 months, dia ada mata screen, mata kiro kan. So we were like, kenapa mata kiro? So we brought him to KKH and we didn't know that he actually has this tuberous sclerosis. When the doctor saw this white patches, he said, you know that your child is having this and it's very rare in the world, like 1 out of how many thousands will get it. And the doctor told us that at the age of 2, just beware that he may have his first seizure attack, sawan. And true enough, at 2, he had it. And that was the first time he had it. He has about 17 times within a day. So he was brought to ICU. So during that initial years, from 18 months to about 6, we keep going in and out of hospital. He had to do a lot of checkup, x-rays and so on. Yeah, and the doctors actually want us cannot leave him alone. That's why he cannot travel. Because when he has anxiety, he's penat or angry or any kind of negative emotion, that will trigger the seizure. Yeah, I would love my son to go out and alone. And he loved to go out actually. He loved to meet people. But he cannot go out alone. Yeah, dia pernah macam dalam kereta tengah driving seorang tau. He was beside, dia kena sawan. Alamak, I panic. Because when dia punya macam, there's different type of sawan. Dia punya jerking. The whole body will jerk aggressively. So I have to really drive to the side of the road, put my brake and really calm him down. Alamak, macam dia nangis. Yeah, that happened.
Jangan nangis. Wow, you're really strong.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Okay.
Seizure is the one thing you really don't know what to do. Also, another one apart from tantrums.
Yeah.
So like his trigger points for his seizure and his like meltdowns are the same. Would you say that's why so when he gets like I don't know overwhelmed or something like that, then he'll get both at the same time?
Yeah, he can. There was one time he was about 5 and we went to the park, Pasir Ris Park, and I didn't preempt him that kalau if it's rain, if we have to go back, I didn't preempt him. Sekali the rain, how long I have to pull him to dalam kereta kan. Dia mengamuk lah. I said, it's rain and what? It's my fault lah. I never tell him. So dia mengamuk sampai 1 jam lebih tau, tak stop. Terus kena sawan. Terus dia give up. Yeah, it can happen. Yeah.
So then you guys bring him to A&E?
No, because that time we quite macam dah used to it, we know what to do. We only bring him to A&E kalau macam dah makan ubat but still tak jalan, tak stop punya seizure, then we have to bring to the A&E. But for now, it's alhamdulillah, it's manageable. He on medication, but very low dosage, alhamdulillah, because we supplement with other alternative supplements. We don't need to just focus
rely on
the
medication.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Just wondering, like, when you first found out about Ashraf's being autistic and like the whole tuberculosis.
Tuberous sclerosis, yeah.
Yeah. So like, RBC red blood cell. But like, do you get a lot of advice from your family? Macam like, do they say like pergi cari pakar or like a different kind of pakar? You know?
Ini very interesting question. I know
Sensitive
what you know.
You mean what? Alternative medicine?
No. I think I know what you meant. Because when before Ashraf was macam ada autism kan, and that point of time years ago, memang autism tak ada awareness kan. Ada orang cakap dia kena sampuk lah. You know what? Jika dalam badan.
Okay.
So there are people who actually brought these different doctors to the house.
Bobo.
Ada. There is. Tapi initially of course we try, because as parents we do our best to get our son better, right? So we try all means, right? But at the end of the day, when we become more mature as parents, we felt that tak perlu lah.
yeah.
Because but at the same time, of course, we do meet like ustaz to advise us what kind of surah for him to, hafal, or for us parents to do. So for example, macam, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm very pious, no, but as parents, I think we have to do always, right?
Yeah.
So macam for example, if baca Yasin, macam pagi-pagi, I will have a water lah, macam just to because kadang I got this ustaz, our own ustaz was saying that Farah, the best, sometimes you always say, okay ustaz, macam I say, why you as mother, it's better for you to do. Because you mak. Then I say, you must have that confidence. So I say, okay, lagi senang lah. Tapi nak, so we just baca and tiup, then kasi minum lah. So these are the things lah. And that really helps because it come from mother. Yeah.
And when you see like, previously you said that with Ashraf, you try to impose like
nangis je
like you try to impose Islamic values in him. Like, can you explain more on that? Like what Islamic values?
Okay, I have to thank my husband, Muhammad Ali, because he come from a family who's my father-in-law, very pious man, mashallah, arwahnya lah. So the whole family is very strong-knitted. So they all every week, every month we have macam come together and have this ratib kind of thing, session. So my husband grew up in that kind of environment. So what happened is that he goes to the mosque often. So we used to stay near the mosque. So he slowly bawa Ashraf tau pergi mosque. Of course memang lah time tu dia tengah hyper kan. Then after that bila dah bawa, dia orang dah kenal kan, tapi after that he stopped bringing him. Then people ask, where's your son? Mana Ashraf? Ada, tak boleh lah sebab dia hyper kan. Test water lah. Dia hyper kan. Tak kita bawa because it's a small mosque. The mosque that is near my house is a small mosque. Tak apa, bawa aja. So when that's how it began. Then he started to bring him for classes as he grew older. And there was one particular time when dorang ada zikir punya ni kan session. My son dah sepuluh balik, he whisper. Dia very soft spoken tau my son. So he whispered to the ustaz, and by his stammer when he speak, because the seizure happened a lot on the speech part of the brain. That's why he stammer. Ustaz, I finished zikir. What you thought? What other zikir that you can actually teach me lah? Then the next week kata my husband, when the ustaz tell, kau tengok anak ni istimewa, tanya aku apa nak zikir. Korang semua yang tak pernah tanya aku apa nak zikir. So I have to thank my husband. He's the one who actually developed that. So as a family also, we will tell him macam zikir like nama-nama Allah lah, like Ya Salam, Ya Latif, Ya Sabur. So these are the zikir that he actually practice. And then another ayat macam wa ufawidu amri ila Allah. This like everything I leave it to Allah, right? Yeah. So these are the things that we actually inspire. Yeah.
Reminders to us.
Actually having him remind to us. It bring us closer to Allah actually.
Yeah, and like you should mention that when he has anxiety, he has a zikir counter. Kita kalau ada anxiety, kita marah gitu.
Yeah, actually, whatever tips that you learn along the way from special needs kids, it can also be applied to everybody because the emotions that they have is just more amplified. It's just that we sometimes don't know how to.
Yeah, correct. Because sometimes autism, right, it can also come with depression though. There are people with autism who has depression. Yeah,
it's too much, man.
It's too much. Yeah. So zikir is one of the ways that we actually instill in this kind of students who has depression and autism.
Okay, last two questions before we end.
Two questions.
After yours.
Okay.
My last question is like, for new parents who have just found out that they have a child who is autistic, Down syndrome, etc., cerebral palsy, what is your advice to them on accepting this new journey that they're going to go on?
Okay, as a new parent, it's normal if you got to know about you get to know that a child is special to go into that grief period. It's normal because kalau kita manusia kan ada perasaan kan, it's normal, but don't take it too long because it's not going to be harm. I mean, okay, not going to harm yourself, but also on your child. The child will not benefit. So the moment you got the grief period, you need to get up, wake up, and then do something. There are parents who keep complaining and not do anything. There are parents who listen that, okay, my child is this, straight away do something. There are also parents who know their child has autism or special needs, and then they are still denial, but they still do something. But there are also parents who terus denial tak buat apa-apa. So there are many parents. So for me, it's okay to have that grieving period, but don't get too long. So what you can do is to learn, read more, go for courses, and then to manage your child. Because at the end of the day, right, you can send to all the therapists. I mean, I'm not saying this until therapists tak ada kerja pula, right? It has to complement. You have to send for therapy. At the same time, you as parent have to support the child's journey lah. Along the way. That will help a lot. And educate the people around. And other parents macam tak nak keluar tau. We have parents who don't want to go out of the house just because they're embarrassed or they cannot cope with what people say or people just staring on it, right? But I was at that stage before. We didn't go out. But to me, after that, I thought, bodohnya kan. Anak aku kesian kan tak keluar. But so after that, we went out. So when people stare or people do some remarks, I would just tell the person tactfully that my child has autism. Do you know it's autism? If you do not know, I think you better Google. So I think you have to be an advocate. You cannot be the one that shun your child.
Yeah. If you're going to stay at home for a long time, it's like a whole lot of more journey in front of you yang you're not going to experience.
Right. But it's not easy lah. But alhamdulillah, you know, there is maybe new parents can know, there is this group called Caring SG. That's just ditubuhkan, established. It's recently only, and it's actually backed up by the government. The chairman is Dr. Ling Hong Hui, and I'm part of it as one of the champion. And currently, I'm going through the course on this caring buddy, meaning one of the parent that can buddy another parent who needs the help.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So I thought this is a good initiative by the government.
Definitely.
It's not just something about the child, but also the parents need support. The kind of support that I think people don't know.
People don't know. Yeah. So Caring SG, you can, if you want to Google, you can go Caring SG and you can see what are the initiatives, the objectives of doing this.
Good to know. So what are future plans? Last question. Although we have many questions still probably on our minds, but what are future plans for Ashraf's Cafe, MIJ, yourself?
Myself dah tua lah. Nanti nak retire lah.
50 and it's a master's.
Nak retire. Okay, of course for myself, of course I will continue lah to do this job because I'm very passionate about it. I think I have macam bukan bersumpah tapi dah macam dah nikat lah niat. I think as long as I diberikan kesihatan baik, insyaAllah sihat walafiat, I will continue the journey with my child and to bring benefit lah, not only to the children, also to the parents. And then for Ashraf Cafe, we have different skills, right? One of the skills is baking, and baking can be cookies, can be bread and so on. We have this plan to open up a bakery so that more, especially people can actually work at the bakery to produce all this food and so on. And also we want to make Ashraf Cafe as a communal place whereby parents and specialists can gather, have a meal together, because it's a safe environment. We understand if the child will not and so on. And also to continue to create awareness with the masses. Come to our cafe, look at how the SPEC employees work, integrate, talk to them, say hi to them. They'll be very happy to do that. So for MIJ, currently apa kita dia? we have 3 centres across Singapore, in Jurong, Changi dengan Woodlands, and the programs keep on having more and more lah. So now we have preparatory program, we have student care, we have adult program, we also have employment for special needs. And we are now a non-profit organisation. Okay, so with that, hopefully with the donations that the public give and so on, we can actually enroll more students. And also to expand. The other side of MIJ is to expand outside, because we have people overseas asking us to bring in MIJ. So now we have in KL as well.
Oh wow.
But tak boleh buka lah COVID kan. Kita baru nak buka 3 months dah stop free. Sedih. But we have the teachers from KL here in Singapore under training. So hopefully when the borders open, they can start first without me going there lah. So there's a lot of planning lah. But ni semua plan kan. InsyaAllah if Allah permits, insyaAllah Yeah.
Inshallah.
We should do it, yeah.
We pray. Alright guys, we've come to the end of today's episode. Thank you once again to Farah. Farah. For coming on to our podcast today. Now, humble office, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting, mashallah. Alhamdulillah.
Thanks for
Pray
coming.
that Ashraf Cafe can flourish even more, inshallah.
Ameen. Yes.
Ameen. Okay guys, tune in to the rest of our podcast episodes if you haven't. But for now, thank you. Like, share and subscribe this video. Bye.
Bye.
Alright guys, thanks for listening. So we'll see you on the next episode. Don't forget to give us a shout out on anchor.fm/The Halal Travel Podcast. Your voice message could be featured in our next episode.
Yep, and if you have any advertising and collaboration opportunities, contact us at info@halaltrip.com. That's info@halaltrip.com.
Also, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Halal Trip. We're also now on Telegram and TikTok. Until next time, get inspired, go and inspire others.